Hello everyone, here is Geraldo Lemos Neto. I'm here with Marco Gandra from Belo Horizonte, Brazil, and we are transmitting the program to Know Spiritism. Today is the program number 22. We are live to Kardec Radio in the US and also to Spiritism Dissemination and to Spiritism Discover Spiritism Network in the US. You are all very welcome. We are continuing to study this book, the later book of Allan Kardec, the Genesis, the miracles, and the predictions according to Spiritism. Today, we are going to study the predictions according to Spiritism. As we already saw in the latest program, the book can be divided in four parts materially. The first one is the character of the Spiritist revelation that we already studied. We also have studied the second part, which is the Genesis. And today we're going to study the last part, the fourth part of the book, the predictions. As you all know, Allan Kardec himself elaborated a theory, the theory of foresee, or the theory of predictions. But first, let's think about this, the need for selection. As Allan Kardec himself wrote in the introduction of this book, the item 1, he says, it can be divided into five parts, the subjects contained in the Gospels. The first one is the common acts of Christ's life. The second one is the miracles of Jesus Christ. The third one is the predictions of Jesus himself. The fourth one, the words that were taken by the church to ground its dogmas. And the fifth one is the moral teachings. The first four have been the subject of controversy. The latter, however, remained constantly unassailable. So Allan Kardec is stating that the most important part of the gospel of Jesus Christ, as we know, the New Testament, the most important part is, of course, the moral teachings of Jesus. And this is untouchable, not even by the ages, by the centuries, or by the millennia. It's the same teachings. So, as a matter of fact, although this is the most important, we can study the other four. The other four are the common acts of Christ's life, the miracles that were performed by Jesus himself, and the predictions that Jesus himself foresaw in the future. And also the most problematic part, the only problematic part, is the words that were taken by the church to ground its dogmas. Of course, Spiritism doesn't have dogmas, so that this is not important for us. But we can study all of that, the common acts of Christ's life, the miracles, and also the predictions that Jesus himself told us. So, about the predictions according to Spiritism, Allan Kardec will divide his approach into uh, different subjects. The first, it's the chapter 16. It's a very important chapter because he himself wrote this theory, the pre-science theory, or this theory to foresee the future. Is a kind of mediumship. It is a mediumship that Allan Kardec, did not approach in the Medium's book. And in this book, the Genesis, Miracles and Predictions According to Spiritism, he will go deep into it. And he will teach us about the gospel predictions. He will teach us about the last judgment predicted by Jesus Christ. And more importantly, he will present his theory of the mediumship to foresee the future. And the second part, which is also very important, is the part in the chapter 17 and 18, where Allan Kardec will talk about the transition time, the planetary transition time. He called this part "The Time Has Come" and divided it into two main subjects: that signs of the times, and the other one is the new generation. We have already studied that too, but we are presenting it today to you as more as a whole. He also will teach us the mission of the promised Comforter, because we can no doubt that the Spiritist revelation is the promises Comforter that Jesus Christ himself talked about. Kardec understood the book of the Genesis of Moses. We already studied that about the Genesis, and he taught us that the Genesis of Moses were a book to the infancy of humankind, that nowadays with science we can understand better. As for the miracles, Kardec turned to the New Testament to understand Jesus' doings. And as for the predictions, he selected several manifestations of Jesus for his comments. And this is very important. And also it's important to understand that Kardec refers to the annunciation of the Comforter promised in chapters 1, items 26 and 27, and also 42, and chapter 17, items 35 to the end, where he himself presented why he was sure that the Spiritist revelation was the fulfillment of the promised Comforter that Jesus Christ himself foresaw. By his own words, on chapter 17, item 26, on the Genesis book, Allan Kardec wrote, "The words of Jesus will not pass away." Sorry. The words of Jesus will not pass away, because they will be true in all times. His code of morality will be eternal because it consecrates the conditions of good and lead man to his eternal destiny. This is very important because it's a kind of way for all of us in the Spiritism to think that the words of Jesus are our moral concept, our moral north. We must take it on our account and we must feel it in ourselves. As we can see about this time of transition, this time of an important role in the mediumship of all humankind, and also the fulfillment of that, the Comforter promises by Jesus. We can see that in the Old Testament and also in the New Testament, this time were predicted. We can see in the Old Testament the prophet Joel, chapter 2, verses 28 and 29, and his statements were also taken on the account of Lucas when Lucas himself wrote the Acts of the Apostles on chapter 2, verses 17 and 18. And in that statement, we can understand our times. It is there. In the last days, God says, I will pour out my Spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your young men will see visions. Your old men will dream dreams. Even on my servants, both men and women, I will pour out my Spirit in those days, and they will prophesy. This is a prophecy of prophesy. It's very interesting. And we can see that this is a seal of the transitional time that we live on. Because it states that mediumship is the most important characteristic of the transitional time. And because of that, we are going to focus our study in mediumship. We can understand now with the works of Allan Kardec and the works of Chico Xavier, Allan Kardec in France and Chico Xavier in Brazil, that mediumship went in a process. Before Allan Kardec, it was a primitive mediumship. The understanding of this phenomena were not complete. And it is complete after the works of Allan Kardec, and especially after the works of Chico Xavier. And because of that, there were an evolution to all humankind, to all of us, that nowadays we can comprehend mediumship and understand our role as mediums. So it was a transition from primitive mediumship and phenomena to incorporating after Christ the morality of the gospel of Jesus Christ's words. And after the works of Allan Kardec and Chico Xavier, the understandable complexity of mediumship to our process of transition towards a regeneration in our own planet Earth. This is very, very much important. So mediumship is a factor of evolution, is a double factor of evolution. It's a factor of evolution for the medium himself, because he understands he is an inter-existence being, and also for the others, for the ones that will receive all the messages from above. So it's important also for the evolution of humankind in general. And that's why the Spiritist revelation came in the exact time it was supposed to come. And also it is because of that that the Spiritist revelation has a very, very much important role in the transitional time for the planet Earth. And for now on, we are going to study the view of the Spiritist revelation towards prophecies and mediumship. We'd like to thank you all for being with us tonight, and we are looking forward to have you again next week, next Wednesday. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.